The crystalline halls of the Valdrine Empire's diplomatic station shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, casting ethereal shadows across the assembly chamber. Leo Martinez stood near the observation window, his weathered hands clasped behind his back, watching the nebula swirl in shades of violet and gold beyond the transparent alloy. He had been a diplomat for the Terran Coalition for 15 years, long enough to know when negotiations were about to collapse, yet experienced enough to maintain his composure through almost anything. Almost. Princess Elsevith Valdrine swept into the chamber with the confident grace of royalty who had never been denied. At 19 years old by human reckoning, she was considered barely an adolescent by Valdrine standards, yet her species' rapid mental development meant she possessed the political acumen of someone twice her age. Her iridescent skin shifted through colors that betrayed her emotional state to those trained to read them, currently a haughty amber gold. "Ambassador Martinez," she announced, her translator rendering her multi-tonal voice into crisp English. "I trust you've reviewed our revised terms?" Leo turned slowly, his dark eyes meeting her three crystalline ones without flinching. "I have, Your Highness, and—" She tilted her elongated head, her crest feathers rising slightly in anticipation. "They're still unacceptable." The princess's skin flashed to a sharp crimson, irritation bordering on anger. "Unacceptable? Perhaps you don't understand your position, human. Your little colony world of Proxima needs our technology. Your people are dying from the Krovan plague. We offer the cure, and you quibble over, what did you call them? Ethical considerations?" Leo's jaw tightened imperceptibly. "Your cure requires human genetic samples from unwilling participants. That's not an ethical consideration. That's a fundamental violation of individual rights." Elsa laughed, a sound like chimes in a hurricane. "Rights? You speak of rights?" She moved closer, her superior height allowing her to look down at him. "Your species has existed for what? 200,000 years? My people have built civilizations for over 40 million. We have seen 1,000 species rise and fall. Do you know what they all had in common, Ambassador? Enlighten me." They understood that survival requires sacrifice, that the needs of the many outweigh the— what is that primitive phrase you use? The needs of the few. Her skin rippled with condescending purple hues. "But you humans, you arrived in our galactic neighborhood barely a century ago, still clinging to your infantile notions of individual sanctity. Your children playing at being adults." Leo remained perfectly still, though something cold had settled behind his eyes. Elsa circled him like a predator, warming to her subject. "Your species is soft, weak. You waste resources on the elderly, the infirm, those who cannot contribute. You fragment yourselves with countless languages, cultures, governments, such inefficiency. And yet you stand here in my empire aboard my station and dare to lecture me about ethics." She stopped directly in front of him, leaning down until her face was level with his. "Let me be clear, Ambassador. We are offering you a mercy. Take our terms, sacrifice a few thousand of your people for genetic sampling, and we will save millions from the plague. Refuse, and we will watch your colony worlds die while taking notes for our biological archives. Either way, we benefit, but at least one way some of your people survive." The princess straightened, her skin now a triumphant gold. "Humanity's time in the galactic community will be brief and unremarkable. You are a footnote, Ambassador Martinez. An interesting anomaly. A species that achieved faster than light travel despite being held back by sentimentality and compassion. But anomalies don't last. They're corrected by the universe's natural order." She paused, expecting a response, an argument, perhaps even anger. Instead, Leo simply looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. His face had become a mask, not of rage, but of something far more unsettling. Absolute calm. "Your Highness," he said softly, "I believe we're done here." "Done?" Elsa's crest feathers rose in surprise. "We haven't finished negotiations. You haven't agreed to— We're done," Leo repeated, his voice quiet but carrying a weight that made even the princess pause. "There's nothing more to discuss. You would let your people die out of stubbornness? Out of pride?" Leo didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his jacket and withdrew a small data crystal, placing it carefully on the conference table between them. "What is this?" Elsa demanded. "Our response," Leo said simply. He turned then, not hurriedly, not dramatically, but with the measured precision of a man who had made a decision and saw no point in further conversation. His footsteps echoed in the crystalline chamber as he walked toward the exit. Ambassador. Elsa's skin flashed through a dozen colors, confusion, anger, disbelief. You cannot simply walk away. I am Princess Elsevith Corvaldrine. When I speak, lesser species listen. Leo's steps didn't falter. He didn't look back. He didn't acknowledge her words in any way. He simply continued walking, his posture straight, his pace unhurried, until he reached the chamber doors. They hissed open automatically, and he disappeared through them without a single glance backward. Elsa stood frozen, her 3 eyes wide with shock. In her entire young life, no one had ever simply walked away from her, not mid-conversation, not without permission, not without bowing or apologizing or at least showing some recognition of her authority. She stared at the data crystal on the table, her skin cycling through colors of confusion and wounded pride. Finally, with a sharp gesture, she activated it. A holographic display materialized above the crystal. It showed a simple text message in a dozen languages, including Valdrine. Humanity respectfully declines your offer. We will find our own cure. We will survive on our own terms. We will not sacrifice our principles for expediency, nor our compassion for convenience. This conversation is concluded. Do not contact us again regarding this matter. Below the text, appended almost as an afterthought, was a single line that made Elsa's blood run cold. P.S. 14 other species have offered assistance without such conditions. We won't be needing yours. The princess's skin went pale, a Valdrine expression of genuine fear. She had assumed the humans were desperate, alone, weak. She had assumed her empire's superiority gave her leverage. She had assumed wrong. In the docking bay, Leo boarded his ship without looking back at the crystalline station. His face remained impassive, but his hands trembled slightly as he activated the launch sequence. Not from fear, but from the effort of maintaining his composure for so long. Bridge to Ambassador, his pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. We're cleared for departure, sir. How did it go? Leo was silent for a long moment, watching the Valdrine station shrink in his viewport. Then he spoke, his voice carrying a weight of absolute certainty. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. The ship jumped to FTL, leaving the station and the princess's wounded pride far behind in the cosmic dark.